Welcome. I'd like you to listen in on my final conversation with 15-year-old Raymond Davis before he entered prison to serve his time for the act of murder. "So who are we seeing today, Dr. C?" asked the officer who let me into the county jail. "Mr. Raymond Davis," I said. "He's in medical," the officer told me. "They've got him back there because of his age. You want to go to him or have him brought up front?" "Why don't I go back to medical?" I said. "You mind if I use the nurse's consultation room?" "You got it." Officer Kelvin made a call on my behalf, and within seconds arrangements had been made for me to drop in on my young client. As I was escorted to medical by a jail social worker, she informed me that Raymond had been put on suicide watch over the weekend. "Honestly," the social worker said, "I think the poor boy's scared to death about going to prison. He told me earlier today he felt better. Actually, he said he was stronger, his word." The mere mention that Raymond had contemplated inflicting pain on himself made me wonder. Did he think that by wounding himself, somehow someone might pity him? Did he believe he deserved punishment for being a depraved hombre? Did he feel sorry for himself? Self-inflicted emotional pain can serve a seemingly deserved consequence for selling one's soul to the devil. It's a poor way of coping with life, to be sure, but it's probably not a whole lot worse than strategies such as blaming someone else, or kicking a dog, or making excuses, or acting like a little child, or pretending to be all that, or shooting a man for all the $4. We all strategize as we try to determine what in the world to do about pain. I've known people who speak and sometimes even brag about how pain boosted their character. They'll say things like, no pain, no gain. That's a nice formula, but man, oh man, negotiating that road surely seems treacherous to me. All of us struggle to escape pain. By the time the social worker and I reached the medical wing, Raymond had already been alerted and was waiting for us. "Tell the staff to call me when you're ready to leave, Dr. C," the social worker said, as Raymond and I settled into a small office. "So, Raymond," I asked, "how are you?" He shrugged. "I don't know. Do you know how long I'm going to be here before I go to prison?" "It's not going to be long, Raymond, a few short weeks, if that. Now that you have a sentence, pretty soon you'll go to a transfer unit. Has anyone told you what to expect from here on out?" I asked. "Yeah, some of them have told me." 35 years, that's a long time. This old guy in here tells me to get used to being a prisoner. He keeps saying it, "Get used to it, get used to it." "Raymond, I know you're heartbroken." He nodded. Raymond, I'm wondering if you think any good can come from your situation, if there's any hope out there for you." Raymond bobbed his head again and whispered, "Yeah, do you think? I hope I don't turn out like my dad, bad, maybe dead. I hope not." "I understand," I said. Hope. Raymond and I have danced around the word hope ever since the moment we met. His hope was that somehow, some way, he could be spared from pain. If not right now, then soon. And if not soon, maybe someday. Hope and pain are like feuding cousins, don't you know? Sometimes they show up at the same functions. Sometimes they don't. To find pleasure in hope is to find release from pain. Raymond had to come to terms with his reality. He hoped life would improve, but he was unsure, very unsure. I said to Raymond, "I talked with your mom again the other day after court. I know she's made mistakes, but she's turning in a different direction. You can do the same thing, Raymond." "Yeah," he said, but I'm not sure he was sold on his capabilities. "You just said you feel lonely. That's a fearful experience, isn't it?" I asked him. "Yes, sir." He then again said, "I'm really scared." "Raymond," I said, "when you were a little boy, you had no idea that at age 15 you'd be sitting in county jail waiting to be sent off to prison for killing a man. You know, life seldom follows the trail we think it should. Raymond looked past me, as if he was reconnecting with a long-lost 7-year-old version of himself. When I was little, he said, I wanted to be all kind of things. Mostly I wanted to play in the NBA and be rich and have lots of women. Wait a minute, Raymond, when you were 7 years old, you were already thinking about women? He laughed a little bit and tried to make the dark day maybe a speck brighter. Okay, he said, maybe not the women part, but I did want to be somebody. And you are somebody, Raymond. The boy again dropped his head, so hard, in fact, I almost got a headache. I paused, but then firmly, if not forcefully, I said to him, pick it up, Raymond. Pick up your head. Don't look down, Raymond. Look at me. Look up. Dutifully, Raymond's upper body raised a bit. He again shook his head. Without words, he begged me, please tell me there's hope. Quietly, I said to him, Raymond, I hate to say this, but this is going to be the last time you and I have the chance to see one another. My work with you is done. Without expression, the boy bobbed his head. As did I. He knew our friendship was transitory and would end. Unfortunately, he was accustomed to broken bonds, whether they were wrecked by his own antics or simply because it was time to paddle on to the next port of call along the river of life. I told him, I wish I could wave a magic wand over you and say everything's going to be fine from this day forward. Unfortunately, Raymond, I can't. My wish, my deepest wish for you, is that one day when you're my age, you'll remember that in the weeks and months after the murder event, you and a shrink named Carter got to know one another, and that man told you never to lose hope in yourself. I want you to remember that he repeatedly told you that on the day you were born, you had untold value, and on the day you die, none of that value will have left your soul, no matter what you've done in life or what life has done to you. Can you remember that? The blacks of Raymond's eyes bore holes deep into my spirit as I spoke. For an instant, it seemed that his soul and mine joined hands and were one. I looked intently back at the teenager, feeling no discomfort whatsoever over his pain or mine. For several seconds, the DNA of our respective souls intertwined, and I felt at peace. So did Raymond. Thank you, he whispered. People don't talk to me like that. Thank you, he said again. No pain, no gain. You know, rather than a prescription for success, maybe those words simply tell it like it is. It's not a prescription, but a description. Pain is a part of our reality. Hope is found when we live fully in that reality. Pain is a part of the journey. Raymond should take no pride in the pain he brought to his victim's family or friends, or to himself, or his broken mother. By carrying the onerous moniker of killer of a boy, he hadn't elevated himself. Simply put, by affirming his pain, Raymond is acknowledging to himself and to others that he's human. He's affirming that he's real. Not all killers, whoever and however they kill, concede to be human, don't you know? Too many feel above the laws of the jungle, and too many believe they're beneath the devils in hell. Those kind of lost hope. In the future, Raymond can choose to kill Warren Culpepper, his victims, kill that man's fictive sisters or brothers. In the future, he could choose to kill himself, or he could let Warren Culpepper's sisters and brothers live, and he can choose to let himself live. He can choose to live with Warren Culpepper's sisters and brothers. He can choose to live with himself. Raymond can choose to let goodness, the goodness that lives in his soul, hold his hand. Hope is all about self-awareness and endurance and patience. At this moment in time, Raymond lacks a clear understanding that he must endure time. He's only 15 years old, for crying out loud. He can't grasp what it means to feel 40 or 60 or 80 years old. But those days are coming. Hopeful people are grounded in a meaningful kind of self-awareness that embraces the truth that life doesn't disgrace them. Life is what it is. Life is as graceful as we will allow it to be. Raymond, I said, you're a smart young man. Listen to me and remember this. When you say you hope things will get better, make sure you hope for the right things. Sometimes we talk about hope as if we wish good things would come true, but hope is a much bigger word than that. It's more than just a wish. Hope is a light that shines from deep inside your body and helps you to see yourself objectively. Does that make sense to you? He nodded. Hope lets you find your way, Raymond, from one day to the next. You don't have to wish for anything. Just be at peace with yourself. The two of us, me and this teenage boy who had committed a murder, sat in therapeutic silence. It's true, our time together is now at its end point, and it would indeed be our last time to converse with one another. I wasn't ready to leave, and I don't believe Raymond wanted the moment to draw to a close either. This final call would, in many ways, mimic all of our appointed times. Both of us had assumed that our prearranged positions, played by our designated roles, would end. In varied ways over the last few weeks and months, I tried to fulfill my court-appointed task of understanding Raymond Davis and why he committed a murder. From a different perspective, he did the same thing. He was trying to figure things out too. Should I cross paths with Raymond 10, 15, 20, 30 years hence, this killer of a boy and I would no doubt enjoy our reunion. Things wouldn't be the same, though. I'd be a major league senior citizen, and he'd be a bona fide man. Frankly, I find it sad when I meet up with an old friend and everything feels just the same as it did back in the day. If I want what's best for Raymond Davis, my wish is that he'll live in hope, and in so doing, we'll move on down the road. I'm going to miss you, Doc, Raymond said. I wasn't like most of Raymond's friends. I was assigned to him for the specific purpose of talking plainly to him, so he in turn would talk plainly to me. Should we achieve that mark, I would become a voice to people, decision makers, who would consider my interpretations as they decided the length of time he would metaphorically spend sitting in the corner. Mission accomplished. And Raymond wasn't like most of my friends either. Rather than judge him for intermittently being calloused or shutting off his emotions when it suited him, or exposing his lust for women, or killing a man he didn't even know, I relished getting to know him as deeply as I possibly could. Why? Why am I not repulsed by Raymond Davis? Why do I find him to be such an interesting person? Why do I ask for more whenever he feeds me the naked details about who and what he is? Why don't I jump up and down and scream and holler at the mention of his name like maybe people in the public do? Why do I look so forward to our conversations? Why will I miss Raymond Davis? Because Raymond was my friend. I rose. Unlike our prior meetings, I brought nothing with me into the jail this time. No briefcase, no computer. I didn't even bring a pen. So I stood and I looked into Raymond's eyes. I held out my hand as my young client lifted himself from the stool where he was sitting, and he placed his palm into mine. Instinctively, I pulled his wire body toward me. We silently embraced for a moment. Then I watched as he walked from the consultation room toward a nurse who returned him to his drab cell. Looking about, I made vocal contact with the jailer and asked, "Can you call for the social worker? I'm ready to go." My relationship with Raymond is now over, and it's complete. I'm psychologist Lee Carter. I trust that you've learned some things about yourself in our study of this 15-year-old murderer, just as I did. I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.